Welcome back to Quantitative Reasoning. In the previous tutorial, we learned how to import spreadsheet data into R. Remember that R's version of a spreadsheet is called a data frame. In this video, we learn how we can find out essential information about a data frame, such as the numbers of rows and columns, the column names, and the overall structure. Last time, we wrote the script Titanic.R to import information about passengers and crew on board of the Titanic. We're going to add more commands to this script in this tutorial. If the Titanic project is no longer open on your computer, use the Recent Projects menu item to reopen it. In the Files tab, click on Titanic.R to open the script in the editor pane. Run the read.csv command so that the data frame Titanic is back in the environment. Let's click on the variable name Titanic in the Environment tab to view the data frame as a spreadsheet. So far, so good, but looking through an entire spreadsheet is usually a very inefficient way to answer questions about a data frame. For example, one of our first objectives when working with a data frame is to quickly find out how many data points there are. That is, how many rows and columns are we dealing with? We don't need to scroll through the entire spreadsheet to answer this question. Last time we noticed that the Environment tab shows this information already. 2,208 observations of 11 variables. Here, observation is a synonym for row, and variable is a synonym for column. A different way to obtain the same information are the functions nrow and ncol. nrow, in parentheses Titanic, reveals that there are 2,208 rows, and ncol, in parentheses Titanic, shows that we have 11 columns. Yet another way to obtain the same information is the dim function, where dim stands for dimension. Dim, in parentheses Titanic, returns two numbers. First the number of rows, then the number of columns. By the way, R is case sensitive. In our example, we must be careful because R happens to have a pre-installed object called Titanic that starts with an uppercase T. But that object isn't a data frame, so we get some strange answers if we accidentally make a typo. For example, dim, in parentheses Titanic with a capital T, returns 4 numbers instead of 2. So please be careful to use only the lowercase variable Titanic in this tutorial. Besides knowing the dimensions of a data frame, we often would like to see some snippets of the data. A very useful function for this purpose is head, which prints the first 6 rows. The counterpart of head is tail, which prints the last 6 rows. The rows take up quite some space in the console. Depending on the width of your console pane, R may not be able to fit all columns side by side. The output then wraps around, so the last few columns are printed below the other columns. This output isn't easily legible. Fortunately, there's a more user-friendly alternative, str, which stands for structure. The output of str, and in parentheses Titanic, shows that Titanic is a data frame with 2,208 rows and 11 columns. The column names appear after the dollar signs, followed by the data class of the column, character, integer, or logical. str also prints the first few values in each column. By the way, false and true in the column called survived aren't character objects. If they were, they would appear between quotation marks. Instead, false and true are special variables that are called logical in the R jargon. We learn more about logical vectors in tutorial 8. You may also have wondered what NA stands for in the console output. It is the abbreviation for not assigned and symbolizes a missing value. One of our later tutorials is dedicated to missing values, but right now, let's not worry too much about them. If we're only interested in the column names, we can use the names function. Let's summarize the functions we've encountered in this tutorial to find information about the format and content of a data frame. We can find out the number of rows with nrow and the number of columns with ncol. The dim function returns both of these numbers with a single function call. We can inspect the first and last few rows of a data frame with head or tail, respectively. str gives a compact summary of a data frame. The names function returns a character vector containing the column names of a data frame. Exploratory data analysis often starts with the functions we've just learned. If we want to dig deeper, we'll have to learn how to extract values from data frames. We'll address that topic in the next tutorial. See you soon.